everyone, to Couch Potato Diary. Happy Wednesday. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Bit of a quicker show today. I got a couple lists for you. First, it is NFL Power Rankings. And then we get into UFC pound for pound rankings. UFC 310 going down over the weekend. The pound for pound rankings have now changed. Just so you know, taped this episode on Tuesday. If you guys want to catch these live and a day early, we do it over twitch.tv/primetimepk. So the Wednesday show and the Friday show, we do that on the back end of the Tuesday live stream and the Thursday live stream. So live streams of these always with video for those of you who are listening on twitch.tv/primetimepk. So here we go. Let's get it started. How does your NFL team rank in the NFL Power Rankings? Let's find out. It is week 15. Week 15 in the NFL, and it is once again time to look at where all the teams stand in the NFL Power Rankings. We begin at the bottom and work our way up, talking about every team in the NFL. At 32, it's the New York Giants, who lost to the Saints, who barely have enough human beings to put together an NFL roster. But at least the defense showed up. Kinda. But it's just so bad out there. The New York Jets almost pulled off an upset win over the Miami Dolphins, but they keep losing. They come in at number 31. At 30, the Tennessee Titans. That was an ugly, gross, disgusting, awful loss to Jacksonville. And so they are one of the bigger falls this week in the power rankings. It's gotten bad out there in Tennessee. At 29, it's the Raiders. They've hung with a couple of good teams the last little bit, but they keep finding ways to lose, which as a Raider fan, I appreciate. And then at 28, it is Jacksonville. Still with no Trevor Lawrence. It looks very ugly out in Jacksonville right now. And so our bottom five, again, Jacksonville at 28, Vegas at 29. You have Tennessee coming in at number 30. Let's just slide that over there a little bit. Whatever. Sorry. You have Tennessee in there at 30. The Jets coming in at 31 and the Giants there at 32. And so what we like to do each week, if this ended up being the final standings, which I don't think it would, but if this ends up being the final standings, how would we look at the quarterback position in the draft? The Giants, no doubt about it, 100% lock, are drafting a quarterback. Jets, that would be such amazing drama. If Aaron Rodgers was like, yep, coming back. And the Jets were like, cool, here's Cam Ward. That would be, it would be just delightful if that happened to him in a second spot. 30, Tennessee, they are 100% taking a quarterback. 29, the Raiders, I think so too. It's just a matter of who. And this is where we'll get into more draft stuff, probably at the end of the NFL season here. But right now, it doesn't feel like there are this many legitimate quarterbacks out there. And so again, the demand is going to far outweigh the need, in my opinion. So some drama at the quarterback spot and potentially some really bad picks coming from NFL teams. And then at 28, it is Jacksonville. I don't think they'll be taking a quarterback in this year's draft. Outside of our bottom five, it is the New England Patriots. They didn't play this week, so there you go. At 26, it's Chicago. Had to drop them a little bit further down after just getting beaten down by San Francisco's B team. That was not great. That was one of those like, oh, this is getting concerning type of a loss for Chicago. At 25, it is the Cleveland Browns. Plucky as they may be, they got worked over pretty strong by Pittsburgh there last week. At 24, it's New Orleans. They get a win. It's against a bad team, and everyone is hurt, so we're not going to totally buy into them right now. At 23, it is the Carolina Panthers. They're having good competitive losses, and with New Orleans having the injuries that they are having, I feel like we can move Carolina above them a little bit and just at least reward them for starting to pull their way out of the doldrums there. At 22, it is Dallas, a tough loss there on Monday Night Football. 21, it's San Francisco, big win, but against the Chicago team. And again, injuries continue to pile up for this team, so not necessarily a group that we're taking overly seriously. At 20, it's Atlanta. They continue to free fall. The Kirk Cousins conversation, it's getting louder and louder and louder as he continues to look worse and worse and worse as the season goes along. This was supposed to be the time where he was coming out of the injury and starting to hit his stride, and instead he just looks old and slow, and Michael Penix is just waiting back there in the wings. At 19, it's the Colts coming off of their bye. 18, Cincinnati coming up with a win on Monday Night Football. The season probably done for them, but nice to see that they can still put up some strong performances. At 17, it's Arizona, hanging around the playoff picture, but a really tough loss to Seattle on Sunday afternoon, dropping them back. At 16, it's Tampa Bay, wins a win, they move on and are now in the driver's seat in that division. At 15, it's the LA Rams. I still have no idea what this team is. On any given Sunday, their defense can look awesome or look terrible. The offense can look like it can't even barely move, or they can put up 40 some odd points. When all aspects of this team are working, this is a really good football team, I think. It's just they never all work at the same time. But that was a heck of a win by the Rams over the Buffalo Bills. At 14, it is the Miami Dolphins. Needed some late game heroics into overtime, saving Jonnu Smith's fantasy day in overtime and coming up with a big win there. At 13, it's Denver. 12, Houston. 11, Washington. Those teams on bye. At 10, it's the LA Chargers. I can't really drop them after coming a doink away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like this team is really starting to hit their stride. And I think that good things are ahead here for the Chargers. At 9, it is the Green Bay Packers. It's a tough loss, so I had to drop them a little bit. I like this team, but every week they show me something that I just can't fully get behind. At 8, it's Minnesota. I'm officially buying in again. A dominant win over the Falcons, lots of great weapons around Sam Darnold, and even if Sam Darnold turns into the pumpkin that we expect him to, you have a really well-coached defense, and you have a lot of talent on the offensive side that it would be tough for him to kind of screw things up a little bit. So I'm a believer on the Minnesota Vikings. It just took, 11-2, the record or something like that? Just took them that to get me there. At 7, it's Seattle. I'm a believer. You guys, if you were following all season long, the season previews, I was in on Seattle, and now it didn't take a whole lot for me to have to buy in again. The defense is getting healthier. The offense has a lot of really exciting weapons now, and so I think that this is a team that not only can win the division, they're certainly in the driver's seat for that now, but is also a team that I think is going to give the kind of upper echelon in the NFC a little bit of a scare in the postseason. At 6, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Now we get into our top 5. Coming in at number 5, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I came really, really close to moving them up. I still just don't view them as a team that is locked into that top tier yet. But they are getting there. That defense is dominant, and Russell Wilson has just found something out in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. This has been a hell of a coaching job for Mike Tomlin, and he has got that team playing some excellent football. At 4, it's Kansas City. They keep finding ways to win. It keeps not being impressive and keeps scaring some people, but I am going to keep believing in this team going into the postseason. At 3, it is the Buffalo Bills. That was a wild loss. The defense is a question, but it is, I think, pretty obvious that Josh Allen is just like, we knew for a while he's awesome, but it feels like he has leveled up, and the MVP trophy that he's going to win feels like it's going to be fairly well deserved. At 2, it is the Philadelphia Eagles. A bit concerning that it took so much to beat Carolina. A win's a win, but after the way last year went, those types of games give you a bit of a pause, but not enough for me to drop them below Buffalo or Kansas City right now. And then at number 1, the Detroit Lions, another strong win against another good team. So our top 5 this week, at 5, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. At 4, it is the Kansas City Chiefs. 3, we have Buffalo. At number 2, it is Philadelphia. And then number 1, the Detroit Lions, as the power rankings remain the same coming into week number 15 in the NFL season. Going to continue with the lists as UFC 301 is in the books. Alexander Pantoja with a phenomenal performance that has worked his way now into the top 10 in the pound-for-pound rankings. Where does he land? Let's talk about it. UFC 310 is now behind us. The pay-per-view schedule for the calendar year 2024 is done for the UFC, and the final night of the pay-per-view schedule gives us one final change to the men's pound-for-pound rankings. So let's get into it. At number 10, it stays. It is Alex Volkanovski. I just feel like his resume, it still holds up. And so I said before, Pantoja is on this list. I bumped Leon Edwards off. Even though Leon was above Volkanovski in my rankings, I went back, went through them, each of them, and Volkanovski's wins are a little bit better than Leon's. Leon does have the Kamaru Usman win, which Volk doesn't really have one of those, like over a guy who was pound for pound number one at the time. But Volk's losses are both to the guy who is at the top of this list. And Leon Edwards lost to a guy who's on this list, but not as high. And so I just had to bump Leon down. So Leon is out, Volk stays on, and at number 9, it is Pantoja. He is already clearing out this division, and really no one has come close to beating him in a little bit. He does need a few more big wins to move up, but he is certainly deserving to be on this list as the flyweight champion and as someone who just beat one of the better fighters from another promotion, and has wins over the next two next two contenders probably in this division. He deserves to be on here. At 8, it's Merab Dvalishvili, a phenomenal run up to a championship and then a dominant title win over Sean O'Malley in the Spear. That's going to get you on here. Sphere, sorry, not the Spear. At 7, it's Bilal Muhammad. He has a tough test coming up against Shavkat Rakhmonov. A win there, and I mean, it's going to be tough to move up into this beyond the top 7 because the rest is pretty loaded. But a win there, and you're getting pretty close, I will say that, at least. Coming in at number 6, it is Jon Jones. Yes, a win over Stipe Miocic, and I had him down low because of inactivity. But again, I can't put him ahead of some of the guys who are up toward the top part of the rankings right now because of everything that they have been doing for the last little while. At number 5, it is Tom Aspinall, the interim heavyweight champion, ahead of the recognized heavyweight champ. I just feel like the knockouts and everything that he has been doing, he deserves to be on this list ahead of Jon Jones. At 4, Dricus du Plessis. Coming in at 3, it is Ilia Topuria, coming off of just a really fantastic 2024. At 2, Alex Pereira. Dominance, want to see him up in the heavyweight division. And at number 1, Islam Makhachev. It is just going to be so tough to move this guy out of that number 1 spot. Even a loss, it would be difficult to move this guy out of that number 1 spot. So the rankings do change. Pantoja moves his way into the back part of the top 10, and Leon Edwards is out. That is going to do it for the UFC rankings. All right, that's the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Coming up tomorrow, it is, again, live stream on twitch.tv/primetimepk, and then we got the NFL preview on Thursday for the podcast, and the Saturday night's main event, and UFC Fights to Make coming up on Friday's episode. So follow me on social media at PrimetimeKlein. Make sure you subscribe wherever you are consuming this, and I will talk to all of you later. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.